Welcome back, folks. Well, so much for not doing videos this weekend. I've got somewhere I've got to go, so I'm going to drive. So I figured I'd do a drive and chat. This is not a rant. This is just kind of well, there are some parts of it where I'm not very happy about things, and you probably aren't either. But I want to talk about basically one of the reasons you should make as much money as you can in this bull run and the next bull run to ensure that you have a good life, because we've got problems here in the US and in most Western countries, and that's Canada, Australia, Europe. We've got issues. So let's drive and just chat about this stuff. So anyway, so I've been watching a lot of content over the years on many topics. Some of those include information and videos on taxes, on socialism, on the 1001 genders, on illegal immigration, policies, regulations, all that kind of stuff. It's all socioeconomic, political type stuff, okay? And it's gonna, and if you're not like a political person, well, I would suggest that you get involved a little bit, at least watching the news, because here's the deal. The things that are happening in the United States, whether you live here or not, like say you're in Canada, the stuff that's going to happen in the United States is obviously going to affect you because it's going to spill over. But especially if you live in the US, man, it's like the stuff is going to have a direct impact on you. We have a lot of things that are big that are facing us that are massive problems. And each of us as an individual, we can't solve these ourselves. At the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself first and your family second. And then you can think about helping the world, helping your community, helping your state, helping your country, etc. One of the biggest ways you can do that, I've mentioned this before, is by becoming wealthy and getting as much cash in your brokerage account, in your bank account, as you possibly can, because money is a facilitator. Money gives you freedom because it gives you mobility. It gives you options, right? You can move to a suburb, to a small town, to the middle of nowhere. You have no problem buying groceries, paying for medical care, buying a new vehicle, putting gas in the tank. The more money you have, the more freedom you have. Okay, so this is, you guys, this is why I've said, like, if I were you, I would recommend at least 50% of your after-tax profits from this grayscale run be saved for the next bull run, so you can just magnify your wealth even more. If you don't do that, you might not be in as good a position as you otherwise would be. And I really think that it's very important for us all to do this, because we have a couple issues, a lot of issues that we're facing that are going to put you in a better position if you have money than if you don't. So the middle class and the poor are going to get creamed, in my opinion, in the coming decades. They're going to get absolutely obliterated. The middle class is going to get drugged down into the abyss and join the poor, and it's not going to be good. And then we're going to have a huge wealth gap divide between the rich and the poor. There basically probably won't even be a middle class. People will still probably call themselves middle class, but they're still going to be basically poor. It is not a good situation. So I believe all of this, first of all, if I didn't say it before, it is an intentional planned destruction of the Western civilization, an intentional planned collapse of the United States by, I don't know, the powers that be, as they always say. Like, I don't know exactly who the bad actors are, but it seems to me that enough interests, for whatever messed up reason, they have this desire to see the USA collapse, and probably to transfer power, like the world power, the world superpower, over to probably China from the US. And that's, we could see that, folks, in our lifetime. We could absolutely see that. We know, I mean, if you've been in touch with anything that's been going on, we have been inundated with a number of crazy stuff, from, the trans movement and pushing the trans agenda, to not knowing, like, if you're male or female. Like, what is that about? That's just meant to divide and conquer us and to mess up our kids and all that kind of stuff, and it's not good. And so we have illegal immigration, or that the administration doesn't seem to care about that at all. They there are a lot of states and cities that are set up as sanctuary states and cities that just gladly take these guys in. And it's like, and we give them free healthcare, free lodging, free food, free phones. We give them an ID card so they can vote. Yeah, do you think that's fair? Somebody who is not a citizen gets the ability to vote in our upcoming election. Who do you think they're going to vote for? Yeah, they're going to vote for blue. They're going to vote for the team that gives them the benefits that they want: free housing, free healthcare, free phones, free bennies, right? Free benefits. That's who they're going to vote for. And the tide has shifted. I feel like if you're a conservative, I feel like the cause has almost been lost. I feel like we have a small chance to basically try to sway the ship back in the right direction. But I feel like if we don't win this election, man, it's not going to be good, because it's going to lead to a bunch of bad things continuing to happen at greater scale. So that means more illegal immigration. That means greater taxes on everybody, but they're going to just say they're targeting the wealthy, but they're going to target that. And the rise of socialism. And the rise of socialism is a very concerning thing, in my opinion. It's way more concerning than other stuff, because socialism will kill our way of life. It will kill our way of life. They're following very good playbooks, and they are basically dividing and conquering people along a lot of different lines, along racial lines, along ethnic lines, along sexual lines, along wealth lines, right? And one of the big narratives is the growing inequality between rich and poor. Well, there will always be inequality. That's how you end up with rich and poor. And that's what you actually want, some level of inequality in society, so that you can move up the chain, so to speak, and get to a better place in life. Otherwise, if everybody's at the same level, it removes all of the motivation to better yourself, to work, to get a better job, to start a business, to get a better career, to get a better degree. There's no motivation if everybody's at the same level. However, it does create a problem if there's great disparity in wealth, in income, and the politicians are playing on this, and they're setting basically the stage up for a bigger socialist grab of wealth. They talked about the wealth tax before. They talked about taxing the rich, paying their fair share, quote unquote, even though the rich pay a lot in taxes, except the ones who are, getting legitimate write-offs. It's like, if you want to have them pay more in taxes, to get rid of some of the write-offs that they're using legally to do so. But this is going to create a problem where they're going to increase taxes on the wealthy, and it's going to start with the billionaires and the centimillionaires, and then it's going to move on to the decamillionaires, and eventually the millionaires, because the millionaires, even the single millionaires, have way more than a lot of other people in this world. And there are a lot of people that will say nobody deserves to have more than $1 million. $1 million. And $1 million to me is not that much. It's like, it's not that much unless you know how to invest it, like in dividend ETFs. You might have a hard time actually retiring off $1 million over the course of, say, 20, 30, 40 years. That's to me not enough. It would be a scary thing to try to retire for 40 years off $1 million. Just my opinion. But they're going to come after that. They're going to vilify everybody. They will vilify eventually the middle class, because the middle class has vehicles, has houses, and they'll say, well, there are a lot of people that don't have that. The homeless, the poor, the new Americans is what they're calling the illegal immigrants in Minnesota. They call them the new Americans, which is really messed up. It's like, you're not new Americans, you're illegal aliens. But that's the mentality that will basically, it will, in my opinion, destroy the country. If we just allow a bunch of freeloaders to come in across the border, demand a bunch of free shit from us, demand that we change our culture, demand more of us, a bigger say, bigger benefits, all that kind of stuff, it will destroy us. It will destroy us from the inside. Because they're already on the inside, and they're going to keep coming to the inside, and that's where they're going to do it. It's not going to be an external force, that comes from outside the country that destroys us. No, it's going to be an internal force that got in from the outside, and from the inside it will corrupt it. And from the inside it will bankrupt it. We are going bankrupt, folks. It's like our national debt is out of control. If you and I ran our household budgets like the U.S. government runs theirs, we would have to we'd have no choice but declare bankruptcy. That would be our only option. We are really screwed, and the only way it's going to get fixed is either with higher taxes, because the politicians aren't going to cut back on spending. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to either have to increase taxes, or they're going to have to turn on the printing presses faster which there's a risk of us turning into Venezuela if that does happen, but that could be a possibility. That's a possibility for us in the future. It's not a good one. This is why I say, like, yeah, I think it's really important for everybody to make as much money as they possibly can this bull run and next. Because honestly, I don't know what this country is going to look like, 8-10 years from now. It could be just, I would predict that given our current trajectory, it's not going to look good. 10 years from now, I don't think it's going to look good. Maybe even like 6 or 8. I don't know how long we can sustain this. So make as much money as you possibly can now, because we probably also have lower tax rates now than we're going to have in the future. But make as much money as you can now. Set yourself and your family and your kids up. By the way, I've said this before, like, if you've got kids, and they're bringing in some income, make sure you set up like a Roth IRA for them. And at any age, even when the year they're born, you can set up a UTMA account for them and donate money into that account and invest it wisely into assets like Grayscale or whatever it is you want to give them a leg up, even when they're like 1 year old, and that will give them a huge leg up in life. I mean, as a wise investor, like you guys investing in Grayscale Trust, for example, or crypto-related stocks like MicroStrategy or Coinbase or the Bitcoin miners, man, you start out now, if you got a kid that's like 1 year old, well, I mean, you can get them to like multimillionaire status easily, way before they're 18. And that can give them a leg up that most people don't have, because most people right now in the U.S. Would find it, I think, very difficult to get to the point where they have $1 million saved, like in an IRA. They would find it very difficult to do that. Most people don't have that. I forget what the averages are, but they're actually, it's lower than that. It's pretty sad, actually. And it's based on a combination of multiple things. One, it's like, people aren't taught about finances, investing. 2, they don't have enough disposable income, probably either because they're at a job that isn't paying them enough and they should be making a move elsewhere, or they're just spending their money on stuff they shouldn't. They're not setting enough money aside to save and invest. But you just have to do the best you can, because honestly, this country, the way I look at it, I'm like, you know what? 10 years from now, it could just be like a complete shithole in terms of what we've got. It's like high tax rates, massive homelessness, a totally out of control illegal immigration, totally out of control. And it's like, I look at the things that, and just like a crappy ass public education system where all people are taught about are like drag queen dances and trans rights and like all the genders and pronoun usage, and they aren't taught about things that actually matter at all. They're not gonna be taught about money and freedom, about history, about stuff like that. No, the focus is gonna be on stuff that is so stupid. We are, I believe, living in a version of the movie Idiocracy. I truly believe that. And our political class, our politicians, our public servants, the public servants word, term, I don't even think is right. They're not really serving the public, they're serving themselves. They're getting a paycheck, but I don't think they're really doing us, the greater population, a whole lot of good. Just my opinion. I think government wastes a ton of money. Like if we all had the option, for example, of instead of just sending our tax dollars off to the IRS, for example, what if you had a menu like you go into a restaurant, you could choose, which things do you want your taxes to go to, and what percentage of your taxes do you want to go towards these things? The roads, the bridges, healthcare, public school system, etc. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be a really nice thing? I don't think we'll ever see that, but it would be nice. It would give us the power that comes with capitalism and markets, because we would have the option of choosing. Right now we don't have the choice. When we have the option of choosing, well, then we control the narrative. We control the purse strings, right? How much should go to the CIA? How much should go to the IRS? How much should go to the military? How much should go to whatever? Well, we'd be able to basically control government. And isn't that the way it should be? Government shouldn't be controlling us. We should be in control of the government, and government should be there to help, to facilitate, get things done. But, it shouldn't be like the overlord of us, because, it's the opposite thing that we had when this country was founded. We fought for freedom, and we fought against taxes on tea, which were, I'm sure, way less than what we are paying taxes on right now. So, think about that. Like we waged a war over taxes on tea, and we're not waging a war on the taxes that we're currently paying, or the taxes that we potentially could be facing in the coming years. So think about that. So also, as you get more money and your wealth grows, no matter what kind of asset class you have it in, it's probably wise to learn about how do you minimize your taxes on, that thing that you own, the land, the house, whatever it is, the crypto. For example, with crypto, one good way to do this, and this is actually ultra wealthy people do this with their stocks that they own. They don't sell them and have to pay capital gains tax. They borrow against them. So I haven't looked up companies that do this or banks that do this for stocks. I probably will in the future, but there are a number of companies that do this with cryptocurrency, where it's like if you have crypto, you just deposit crypto, take out a loan against it, and that is not a taxable event. Like just getting a loan from it is not taxable to you, so that's good. They do charge you a high interest rate, high APR, but even that APR is far less than the taxes you would pay. So like one of the places I was looking at charges like almost like a 20% APR. But you get a loan against your crypto, and then a lot of times these places allow you to pay back your loan with crypto or fiat dollars, right? So my preference would be, for example, to do this. Like if I had a bunch of for example, USDC stablecoin, I might decide to get a loan against 10% of it, and then pay that loan off with some more of the stablecoin, and then just continue that process. Like as I pay a loan off, get another loan, pay the loan off, get another loan. I'm basically cashing out of crypto along the way, but I'm not having to pay taxes. So look into that, do some research. Again, not financial advice, nothing that I'm saying ever is, but something to take a look into to minimize taxes, especially in the future, because I think tax rates could be very high. Also, I wanted to say this about crypto and grayscale trusts for the future. I can see actually the government cracking down on crypto in the US, maybe making it illegal, putting a ban on it for the following reasons. One reason is, and they always do this, they'll say, well, that it's too risky, and that it's too risky for people. People can lose money. It's too risky, right? So we just want to protect the consumers. It's too risky. We're going to ban it. We're going to shut it down. The other thing that they'll probably do, and I can see this narrative playing out with the whole socialism, wealth inequality play that's going on, is they could easily make the narrative that, well, there are some people that are getting really stinking rich off of cryptocurrency and grayscale, and that's not fair to everybody else who's not getting rich. That's what they'll say. They'll say the rich are getting richer. This isn't fair. It's creating a greater inequality, and that's not good. So they're not going to want you to get ahead. So they're going to probably use that. I would see that coming, like, as one of the grounds for either outright banning crypto or heavily regulating it in such a way that maybe it just doesn't become a very good investment anymore. But that's kind of what I see. All right, that's kind of what I see. Like, and this is like, this is at least probably like 8 to 10 years out from now. It's a ways out, but you never know, because things can collapse pretty quickly. I mean, we have a lot of things in this country that are a lot of things are poking the bear. A lot of things are poking the bear, and or a lot of things are poking the balloon. And all it takes is for one thing to happen to a big enough degree for that balloon to break, or for the bear to just go berserk, and for really bad shit to happen in this country. And if you're not in the U.S., well, chances are the economic turmoil and social turmoil that could come to the U.S. could spill over into your country. And there are a lot of countries that have this. It's like a lot of countries in Europe have this social unrest. They've got wealth inequality issues that are being brought up, and Canada too. So it's not like it's just the U.S. It's basically it's a war for Western civilization. That's kind of how I see it, and it'll be very interesting to see how this unfolds. How it unfolds. It's fascinating to watch. When you're just kind of taking things in, and if you can put the big picture together, like how things are connected, it's interesting to watch. It's also very sad. It's also very sad because it's like, everybody, pretty much everybody in the country would recognize if we got attacked by Russia or Korea or Iran or some country overnight, everybody in the U.S. would pretty much be like, yep, this is a threat. We're going to mobilize ourselves and defend ourselves, right? So people don't have a problem spotting an external threat. The problem that we have right now is we have internal threats that are individual threats, but that are comprised of a bigger package that I think make up a bigger package that was intentionally designed, brilliantly, by the way, I believe, but even though it's nefarious, brilliantly designed to basically destroy America from within, and other Western civilizations too. I'm mostly familiar with the U.S., obviously, since I live here, but that's kind of how I see things. I do not hold a great view for the future. I think a lot of people are going to suffer greatly, and that is very unfortunate. And one of the only ways that you can escape the suffering is to increase your wealth by being a wise investor, right? Because money, like I said, is a facilitator. It gives you freedom. It gives you options. You can afford to eat when other people can't. You can afford to hire people when other people can't. You can afford to get a new vehicle or get your vehicle fixed, or buy a house, or move, or go on vacation, or do whatever when other people can't. And a lot of people, I think, are not going to be able to do a lot of those things that they used to be able to do. As we move towards the future here, it's going to get worse, I think, for a lot of people. We see this stuff happen slowly, right? But then there could come a suddenly. Like it's like they say how change happens. It's slowly and then suddenly. And I feel like we're in the slowly phase right now, but it could very quickly turn into suddenly. And with just like rampant inflation, regardless of what the CPI numbers say, just the everyday costs of going out to fast food or to a restaurant or to the gas station or doing pretty much anything in life, the costs are going up. And so people see that. So even if it's more than the CPI, people are going to see that and feel that. And there are a lot of people that are just on the edge right now. I mean, this, like, in the past, 2 years, I've seen a dramatic uptick in the number of videos on YouTube, for example, that discuss middle-class poverty. And middle-class poverty is basically when you're middle class, or you think you're middle class, but you basically are barely making it. You're living paycheck to paycheck. There are a lot of people, unfortunately, in that situation. And, there are things that probably a lot of them could do to get themselves into a better position, but they just haven't been educated or informed. Some of them don't have good money habits, but it's going to affect a lot of people in a very negative way. And it's going to get tougher. And like I said at the start of this video, man, I feel like the middle class is going to get hammered the hardest on this. They're going to get dragged into the abyss with the poor because they're going to be hamstrung, right? They're gonna be taxed to death. Inflation is going to be killing what they can do with their after-tax paycheck. It's really taxing them. So yeah, so that's not going to be good. But anyway, so so it's like I don't see really good things for the U.S. I mean, yeah, we could turn it around, but honestly, I'm a very realistic person, and I look at what's been done, what's been orchestrated and architected, and I'm like, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. They got inside people's heads, introduced all these ideas, and that we need to be helpful to everybody and embrace the illegal immigrants, call them migrants, call them new Americans. We need to be nice. We need to feed them. We need to accept everybody for their choice of gender. We need to be accepting of drag shows inside of our public schools. We need to be okay with this. We need to be okay with trans men or trans women. I forget which it is. Anyway, chicks with dicks, basically, who were a failure as a male athlete and then decide they're a trans woman and they go compete in female, athletics, and they kick the women's asses. Why? Because they have a biological advantage. And people are like too afraid to even state the obvious. And so what's going to happen is women are going to they're going to sit back and watch in horror as women's sports is destroyed by chicks with dicks. And that's what's going to happen. And that's, a part of me is like, you know what? If you aren't willing to stand up and stand up for yourselves and make change happen, then you kind of deserve for it to happen. And I kind of feel the same with the U.S. as a whole. Like, if the U.S. as a whole, like if enough of us aren't willing to get out there and vote and protest and make our voices heard about the insanity of this illegal immigration, well, then we're going to get what we deserve. We're going to get a country that's overflowing with illegal immigrants that are demanding voting privileges, free medical services, free food, free housing, jobs. There's going to be a great job displacement among illegal Americans, American citizens who lose their jobs to illegal immigration because it's cheaper to hire the migrants, and it's going to flow over. And if we don't stop it, if we don't shout out and show up and do what's required, well, then don't we deserve it? Don't we deserve? It's like we just are allowing this to happen, and this is what our country will move into, where we have increased numbers of poor people, because it's going to drag the poor to an even poorer level. It'll drag the middle class into the poor seat, right? Because they're going to have to pay more taxes to support all this shit. And it's like, other things too that the government is doing, like college, the loan forgiveness, student loan forgiveness. I think what Biden has approved right now is costing us $7 billion. And I think if they were to get their way and just give everybody a free check to pay off their student loan, it would cost us like $150 billion. That's a ton of money. Where's that coming from? Where is that coming from? And what are they going to do? It's obviously they'd want that to be a continuous thing, and then they never see even the people that really want this, they never see the unintended consequences of this, which is going to be, for one, well, people are going to have to pay more taxes because they're footing the bill. You and I are footing the bill for people who are getting, free, paid student loans. But then also the universities and colleges, like, they have no motivation to lower the tuition. If they see that the government is just forgiving student loans, well, they'll just keep raising rates. There's nothing to stop them. They might have, like, maybe they charge $50,000 a year for tuition. Then they'll say, well, now it's $60,000, now it's $70,000 a year, now it's $80,000 a year. There's no limit because they know the student isn't responsible. Government, Big Daddy government's responsible. The Big Daddy government, has everybody enslaved, and it says you're going to pay this, percent in taxes for whatever you make in income or for whatever gains you get in terms of capital gains. So it's like that. It's not going to be good. But this is what's coming. This is what's coming our way, folks. And like I said, I'm going to wrap this video up here. But it's really important that we can't control the world, right? We can't control the world, but we can control ourselves in our own situations. And one of the biggest things you can do, well, the biggest thing you can do is educate yourself, I think, as to like the dangers of what might be coming our way and what's going on right now. But two is to get yourself in the best financial situation possible. So make as much money as you can this bull run and as much as you can next bull run. I don't know what the landscape looks like when we're talking 2 bull runs out, because that's like 8 years from now. And man, a lot of things can change in 8 years. A lot of things, policy, regulation, just societal pressures, taxes, all that kind of stuff. A lot can change in 8 years. A lot can change in 4 years too, but definitely 8 years. But just get yourself in the best possible position you can. And get your kids started in the best possible direction too. Like I said, with a Roth IRA, UTMA account. And so yeah, at least you can be in the best possible position as anybody, even in socialist countries, even in communist countries. The wealthy people, the wealthiest people, they always had food, right? They always had vehicles. They were always able to do things. It's just that the majority of people weren't, because socialism and communism, that's a heavy yoke to bear, right? But the wealthy had mobility, like that's what I've said, like money is a facilitator. So the more money you have, it might not be fair that people with more money can do more things and have more freedom. But I don't care about that. If those are the rules of the game, then that's just how I'm not going to try to change the rules. That's way too much work. All right, those are just the rules of the game. Then once you know the rules of the game, play the game, become as wealthy as you possibly can. And you should be good. All right, I'm going to end it here. Hope you guys are doing well, and I'll catch you in another video sometime soon. And hopefully our country will not fall into a socialist dystopia. That's what I'm hoping. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.